Hi all, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Today I'm back with my Fenix6 Pro watch as this episode of Deeper Insight. And today we will be talking about the power management or battery saver functionality which has been lately introduced in Fenix6 series of watches. So what this functionality actually does is it gives you a greater control over the battery and its function. And also one important thing which it does it gives you an estimate in terms of days of battery life which is remaining, so rather than just percentage alone. So so based on the current drainage, battery drainage that the device sees, it should give you a good estimate about when the device will run out of juice. So that is what we are going to look for in this video. Uh, Going by the specification given by Garmin, so this version of Fenix 6, which is in Fenix 6 Pro, on a Bluetooth or a smartwatch mode, it gives you a battery life of close to 14 days. And while in battery saver mode, Garmin claims that it can sustain for good 48 days, which in my opinion is pretty good. If you are on an outdoor expedition, or if you are in an outdoor trip, you don't really have to worry about charging your battery. Even if you're using this watch as a simple watch, and if you are a person who is like living in the city, is a not very outdoorsy type, you don't really have to worry about charging it uh, for a good 48 days in case required. uh, will somebody be using this mode for all the 48 days? I doubt. But yes, given that this option is available, you can always use this to elongate your battery life of any 6 Pro watch. Now, the question is that if this watch can give you 48 days and the battery is 100%, so that would mean that you are getting close to 24-25 days in 50% battery, which would mean that uh, per day there should be an approximate consumption of 2%, right? So if I have a consumption of 2% every day, I should be able to last, my battery should be able to last for good 48 to 50 days. Well, 48 days, let's take that. So what I'm gonna do is, if I divide 100 here, so if I divide 100 by 48, so I get a rate of 2.083. So 100 is the percentage here, so this is the percentage, and 48 is the number of days. So on a, on every day, if I'm keeping my watch on battery saver, I should see a battery drain of close to 2% or 2.1 or 2.08%. So if I can get this kind of battery drain every day, I should feel pretty confident that yes, my watch will be able to sustain for 48 days as claimed by Garmin. So what I did was, what I'm doing rather, I have charged this watch to 100%. Today is the first day of New Year. I have charged this watch to 100%. Let me get down into, and I have the battery saver on. So let me give you a walkthrough of what I have done so far. Okay, so let me go back. So if you go at the estimate which is given, those are 48 days of battery life. This is good enough. Now let me go back. Let me go to the power manager. Let me go in the power manager. You are seeing two functions here, battery saver and power modes. Power mode we are not going to discuss in this video because those are relevant for any activity. However, battery saver is one which is active all the time, or which can be active all the time. So let me go deeper into the battery saver. So right now the status is on, and edit here, it gives you an option of editing the various sub functionality that can be controlled using the battery saver function. So I have put the watch face on the low power. I have disabled music. I have disabled phone. I have disabled Wi-Fi. I have disabled activity tracking. I have disabled with wrist heart rate, so there is no green light. The pulse oximeter is automatically disabled, and also the backlight is turned on off. So all these things, since my battery saver is off, oh sorry, it's on, so all these things are right now executed, or they are, functional, in the sense that the battery backlight should be off, pulse light oximeter should be off, wrist heart rate, this is off, and so on. So with this, and let me also show you in case I disabled it. So in case I disable it, I'll get close to 23 days of battery life, which is because I have switched off the Bluetooth as well. So that is the reason why I'm seeing 23 days. Let's turn on this for now. So good enough. So far it's great. I have this watch charged to 100%. uh, I have everything disabled in battery saver. Battery saver is on, so we are good. Now the only thing is, how do we know if the drain rate for 24 hours, it's close to 2.08 percent, as we discussed. So I have, the only additional thing I have done here is I have installed a widget. The name of the widget is battery widget. It's by DS Aptech, and it's available in Garmin IQ store. So I have installed this widget here, and this widget says is right now the battery is life is at 99.8%. The time remaining is 24.1 days, and it's been 0 hours ever since I charged the battery, because I just charged it a few minutes back. And if I click it again, the long-term average we can ignore for now, since last charge is 2.074% per hour. Since last view is 2.074 percentage per hour. So this is the percentage that we should ideally be seeing for full 24 hours period. Now long-term average for now is 24.19. Since last charge something since last view is 2.23. So right now I don't, because we have just charged this voice and I'm watch, and then I'm playing with this watch a bit for this video, I wouldn't rely too much on the data which we are seeing now. But what I'm gonna do now is, with the battery being at 99.8% and this watch being on battery saver mode, I will just store this watch safely, and over a period of today, and probably by tomorrow morning, I'll keep watching the battery drain, probably periodically, or probably once in 6 hours or once in 8 hours, and let's see like what kind of drain we get using this widget. So right now it's 2 o'clock. I would probably check back at around close to 8 o'clock, like 6 hours, or probably 9 o'clock, 6 to 7 hours, and then I'll check back in the morning tomorrow, and further close to 2 o'clock tomorrow. So just in order to complete a cycle of 24 hours to see how the drain happens. Yeah, hi all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is the second episode of finding out the battery saver functionality on Fenix6 Pro. If you remember in the last part, which was shot 2 days back on 1st of January, around the same time frame, uh, we had the watch at around 99.8%. I charged the watch, and that was the percentage charged that was being shown by Garmin on 1st of January at around 2 p.m. Now today is 3rd of January, and the time is around 2 p.m. So it's exactly 48 hours since then, and in between I have put the watch for all the 2 days on battery saver. I have not used the watch. The watch was kept at one place. I didn't want to use any of the sensor, maybe the accelerometer or any other sensor, just to make sure that the watch gets the maximum chance to retain its battery as much as possible. uh, so here we are. So today at 2 p.m. on 3rd of uh, January, uh, we are taking a look at how much battery drain has happened so far. Let me take you through, but before we go there, I'll show like what Garmin says. So if you remember, day before yesterday, the battery estimate was coming out to be 48 days, and today the battery estimate is at 46 days. So at least from the estimate perspective, what Garmin provides, the number looks good. Now let's go to the percentage. So at that time, 2 days back, the percentage of charging that was available was close to 99.8%. And today, let's see what percentage battery widget is showing. So it's at 94.3%. Okay, so that would mean if I take my calculator out, so if you look at this calculation here, so it was 99.8% at that time, and right now it's at 94.3%. So total we have used 5.5% of battery in last 2 days. And if you remember the earlier calculation, we assumed that the battery per day should be consumed close to 2.083, which I approximated to 2.1%. So in order to get a battery life of 48 days, the watch should consume a total battery of 2.083% for every day for 48 days, so that the user or wearer can get a battery life of 48 days. But going by this mathematics here, if you look here, so 5.5% was the battery that got consumed, and why this is not focusing. So 5.5% was the battery that got consumed in 2 days. So in one day, the battery got consumed was 2.75%, which is a bit over the earlier estimate. So let's see, if we have a battery drain rate of 2.75% every day, so how many days this would last. So we have 2.75. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide 100%. So I'm going to do 100% battery life divided by 2.75. So the estimate is coming out to be 36 days if the current battery drain continues. But this is getting quite interesting. So if you look at the the figures which have been provided by the battery widget, based on, so it's exactly coming out to be 36.04 days per charge, which seems to be more accurate based on our understanding of how the drain has happened in the last 2 days than what Garmin provides. Let's look at these figures here. So currently, as I mentioned, the battery level is close to 94.3%. It was exactly 48 hours back when the battery was charged. So right now the drain rate between the last refresh and this one is 0.158, which is quite huge compared to the expected drain rate of 0.086 kind of percentage. And the time remaining based on this drain rate is 24.9, but I would just ignore this for now. I'll go over to the long-term average, or since last charge. So this is the drain time that we have 0.116, which is bit over the much required 0.086 drain rate, and this is the estimate which this battery widget provides. So as per this estimate, 36.06 day per charge is what we are getting in this mode, that is when the battery saver mode is up. So what I'm going to do is, since I just want to be sure that the estimate that I get out of this experiment is as accurate as possible, so let me continue this experiment for next 2 more days. which is like on Sunday, which is going to be 5th of January, around the same time frame. And let's see if the Garmin estimate of 46 days makes more sense, or this estimate which is being provided based on the drain rate makes more sense. So thank you very much for watching this. Please keep tuned to this episode. I'll be back after 2 days. Thank you very much. Yeah, hi all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today is Sunday, the 5th. It's January, and the time is around 2:44. And I'm back with my observation on the battery saver mode in Garmin Fenix 6 Pro watch. So if you remember that we started this making these observations around 4 days back, that is on 1st of Jan around 2 p.m. At that time I charged my battery. The battery level was 99.8%, and then again on 3rd of January around 2 p.m. I checked the battery level. The battery level was 94.3%, showing that the battery had dropped to 5.5% per day. Oh, sorry, 5.5% in those 2 days. So that gives us a per day battery drain of 2.75% in the initial 2 days. Now I thought that battery drain was quite high in the first 2 days. Just in order to be sure that that is a consistent battery drain that I'm seeing and I'll be seeing in rest of the days, I happen to extend my observation for 2 more days. That is till Jan 5th, which is today. And today the battery level which has been shown by the watch is at 89.4%. So what it means is that it has dropped 10.4% in last 4 days. If I average that out in the last 4 days, it will be 2.6% per day, which is definitely an improvement over the first 2 days when we were seeing a battery drain of 2.75%. So I'm not sure what caused it, because all my battery sensor and everything, the settings have been unchanged since day one, but definitely there is an improvement. And since we are averaging it out for 4 days and we're getting a value of 2.6% per day, I'm pretty sure that in the last 2 days the battery drain has reduced beyond 2.6%. So definitely that's a good news. That is a very positive news. So what I'm going to do is and also, if you remember, in order to see a battery life of 48 days, we should be able to see the battery drain of 2.083% per day, which we are not getting so far. And we should have 0.086% of battery drain per hour. So if we are getting that, we can be pretty sure that we'll get the battery range in the ballpark of 48 days when the battery saver is up and running. So let me quickly show what I've been seeing here. So let me show first what Garmin is showing here. So 89%, and the Garmin is showing 43 days of battery life, which is again not correct, because 4 days back we started with an estimate of 48 days. So after 4 days I should see 44 days here, but I'm seeing 43 days. So definitely one day has vanished somewhere, probably because of the battery drain rate or something. And let's see what battery widget has to show here. So here now the battery level is at 89.3%. Okay, time remaining is 26 days. I'll probably ignore it. I'll just go by my own calculation. It has been 4 days ever since the battery was charged. If I drill down deeper, The long-term average is 0.143% per hour. But what I'm more interested is, since last charge, the average right now is 0.109%. So what it means is that our battery drain rate has definitely improved over last 2 days. And however, it's not still where we want to see it. I would have want to see it at 0.086% to be able to get that. But considering the changes, or considering that the Garmin watch is catching up with the kind of estimate which which was not very positive in the first 2 days, but the last 2 days have been pretty positive. So I'm pretty hopeful that in the next 2 days I will be able to see some more you know better results in terms of battery. Although I want to use my watch, because I've not been using this watch since past 4 days now. I've just stored it so that none of the sensors, even the accelerometer or any other sensor, gets used. So I want to give the maximum opportunity to Garmin battery to give us as many days as possible. Although I know that for most of us who will be using this watch in battery saver mode and they'll be wearing it, probably the drain rate will be more. Let's see, I want to have this observation for next 2 days. So let's see for next 2 days that how it catches up, and then we'll see that what inference we want to draw out of it. So just to recap, we started on 1st of January with 99.8% battery. On January 3rd, we got 94.3% battery, which gave us a per day drain rate of 2.75%. Today, we are seeing a battery drain of, or battery life, or battery percentage of 89.3 or 4%. So what it gives us is close to a battery drain of total battery drain of 10.50% in 4 days, which is close to 2.6% in last 4 days at an average. Our target is 2.083%. So let's see for next 2 days. I'll just store the watch again, and then next see for next 2 days how the battery widget and the battery holds up. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye bye. Yeah, hi all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. If you remember, we started with an observation that whether the Garmin's battery saver mode can it really give a battery life of 48 days as claimed by Garmin. And this is Fenix6 Pro watch. So just to give you a recap, where we started with. So we started on January 1st when I charged my watch. The charging was at 99.8%, and at that time I turned on the battery saver mode of my watch. So that was like 6 days back. So after 2 days, so I've been taking reading after every 2 days. So after 2 days, which was on January 3rd, I observed that the battery remaining was 94.3%, and then again on 5th Jan at around the same time frame, which is 2 o'clock, I observed that the battery was at 89.4%. Okay, so that was the drain that I saw in the past past 3 observation that I have taken. Day 0 was day 1, which is the 1st of January, and then we are on 7th of January, which is like the 6th day. But before we go there, I want to highlight the settings which I have in my watch, just for the sake of giving a recap of what we did. So what I have done here is, if I go to the battery saver, power manager here, if I go to the battery saver, you say the battery saver is on. It's giving an estimate of 41 days as of today. So if I edit it, so I have the watch face in low power, I have the music disabled, I have the phone disconnected, I have the Wi-Fi disconnected, and I'm also not tracking any activities. They are turned off, and the wrist heart rate is turned off. So as a result, pulse oximeter is turned off, and also backlight is turned off. So all the things I could figure out. In the battery saver, I have turned it off. Secondly, if you look at the status has been on for last 6 days. Besides that, what I did recently was just to make sure, because Garmin doesn't recommend doing it. They just say that if you turn on the battery saver and the low power mode, so maximum battery you can get is for 48 days. Now what I additionally did was, as of on 5th of Jan, I also deleted some of the widget glances here for barometer and altimeter and also temperature. So I don't really know. I mean, I'm not a technical person or on Garmin's engineering team, but I figure probably those sensors, if they are in widget, they may be consuming some battery. So I have deleted them as well. So right now, let's see what we are seeing today. So today Garmin, as we saw, it showed a total estimate of 41 days here. So a thing to note is, if we started it on 1st of January and today is 7th of January, total 6 days have passed, but we are getting estimate of 41 days. So we have lost 7 days in actual 6 days time frame. So ideally it should have been 42 days, but because the 6 days have passed in battery saver mode, but it's showing 41 days. So that is a loss of 1 day. Second, let's go to the battery widget. Okay, so this is the latest and the greatest data that I'm seeing in the battery widget. So currently we are at 84.3%. So the last time when the charging was done, it was 6 days ago, and this is like the overall drain rate, 0.133%, which is quite low, or lower than the what we saw last time. Okay, the things which interest me the most is this one here. So overall long-term average has come down as well, but since last charge, so the drain rate is now 0.108% per hour. Now if you remember, our target drain rate to achieve a battery life of 48 days was close to 0.0868% per hour. So considering that, I would say this drain rate has come pretty close to that. It's not really there yet, but it's pretty close to that. So I would say the Garmin watch is catching up on the the duration which was suggested by Garmin earlier, that is 48 days. But thing to note here is, I have made certain assumptions. One assumption is that I assume that the battery drain would be at a constant rate, but I am seeing that there has been a change from the first day versus the last 2 days. So the battery drain rate is continuously decreasing, or showing a decreasing trend. Because if I remember, on the first day, the per day drain rate was close to 0.158%, and right now we are at 1.108%. The drain rate has reduced quite a bit, so that is a good thing. I don't know what is causing that, and what is the reason behind that. I'm not too sure, but based on the current estimate as of today, the battery widget is showing, since last change, 1.08% per hour. So estimate days as per battery widget is 38.72, which is now quite close to what Garmin is giving, that 41 days. So I hope that if this reduced drain rate continues, so pretty soon the data given in here, which is like 38.72, days per charge, it may end up catching up with what Garmin says. Although there may be a loss of a day or two, or probably at the max 4 to 5 days in the overall count of days, but I'm getting an indication that it would be easy in battery saver mode to get a overall battery life of close to over at least over 40 days for sure. Now, a few things that you have to note here is that I have not been using this watch at all from past few days. So what it means is I'm not even pressing the button, so there is no screen refreshes excepting when really I have to probably I check the watch battery drain out of curiosity in the morning, or when I have to shoot a video, so just to keep an eye on how much drain the battery is having over a period of say 12 hours. So I'm checking that. So accepting those few seconds of when I'm using the watch to see what battery widget has to say, or what is the drain rate which the watch has gained, I'm not using that watch. And also I have switched off, or I have deleted the widgets from the widget glances, assuming that widget glances would be having some kind of battery drain, because widget continuously needs to be updated, especially the barometer, altimeter, temperature widgets. So I hoping that deleting those from widget may have given certain boost to battery life. But besides that, uh, if you're using this watch in battery saver mode, I would assume that you will be wearing it all the time, and there will be an occasion where you'll be checking the, the sensor detail or widgets or steps. Sorry, it won't be registering steps at all, but I would assume that you will be checking the barometer or altimeter, or doing certain other operations, at least refreshing the screen. So probably maximum you will be hitting is between 40-45 days of battery life. And definitely after that, once you're using it, wearing it, probably the battery life will reduce a bit. But by all estimate, I'm pretty happy that in battery saver mode, I'm definitely confident that with least refreshes, you would be able to see fairly a good amount of battery, or the watch will last fairly good amount of time. So with that, I'm having a question to myself whether I should continue this observation for 2 more days to see if this current drain rate of which we have achieved, that is 0.107% or 108%, if we want to continue that drain rate, or if you want to see if that drain rate continues, if it decreases even further. So I'm thinking that I should probably uh, because I also want to wear my watch now. I'm not wearing this, I'm not making any readings, I'm not doing any kind of activity tracking using my watch from past 6 days now. So let me do this. Let me extend, instead of 2 days, let me extend it for 1 more day. So that will be like 7 days of total observation period. So let me again see by tomorrow if this current train rate continues, or if it reduces any further. And that after that we can probably consider an end to the, with a positive note that the drain rate is definitely at par with, or at least in quite a ballpark of what we expect this watch to have, considering a battery life of more than 40 days at least, with all kind of possible estimates. So let's be hopeful of that. Take care. Bye bye. Yeah, hi all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm back, and today is the 7th day of my observation of my Fenix6 Pro watch in the battery saver mode. And as you can see, the time is 3:03. It's a bit over 3 o'clock. Uh, so I would probably assume, padding of 1 hour, because the day one when I started it, I did it at 2 o'clock. But because of some commitments that I have on a daily basis, I was not able to stick to the exact 2 o'clock time frame. But I would suppose that in in the time when we are considering the battery life of 48 days, 1 hour of up and down wouldn't make that much of a difference. But let's get started. So right now we are, as I mentioned, we are on day 7th. Today is 8th of January. It's close to 3 or 4 p.m. and currently the battery just one day back, that is on 6th of on the 6th day, which is 7th of January. It gets very confusing sometimes. So on 6th day, on 7th of January, when we did it at around 2:30 to 45 p.m., the battery was at 84.5%. And if you remember, I was pretty happy that the per day battery drain had reached 2.45%, which was an improvement over the earlier averages that we had seen. And also, what we saw was that the hourly battery drain was point since last charge was 0.017%. So from that perspective, I was definitely seeing much improvement. I was pretty hopeful that we'll get close to 40 days or even more than 40 to 45 days in a normal usage kind of scenario in battery saver mode. But today, let's see like what is the kind of observation we are having today. So let me take you first what Garmin has to show. So it's 40 days. So as I told you, like today is Jan 8th, is day 7th, and we started with a battery estimate of 48 days. So we have lost 1 day out of 8 days. Ideally here I should have seen the estimate to be of 41 day, because today is 7th day, but anyways we have lost 1 day here. So let me take you now to what battery widget has to show here. So right now the battery level is at 81.5%, and as I mentioned that just yesterday it was at 84.5%. So by simple calculation there is a drain of 3% that has happened between yesterday and today. So by all means this drain rate has increased. I was hoping that it will go down to the 2.08% drain rate, which is my target to achieve a battery life of 48 days. But it seems that due to some reason, some internal process that gets run in this watch, the drain rate is now increased. It's up to 3%. Here it's saying that overall 7-day drain rate is sorry, it's actually a long-term one, but 7-day was the one when the charging happened. Let me take you to the next screen. So long-term battery level, average has definitely gone for a positive spin here, because earlier I used that. I remember that it was a bit more than this. Since last charge, yesterday we saw the drain was 0.107% per hour, but today it has increased to 0.109 per hour. I'm not sure why. Here, and since last charge, based on the drain rate, which is calculated by battery widget, which is the same which I calculated over my percentage since day 1 when the charging was done, it says that you can get total of 38.25 days per charge, which is very close to, I would say, which I am getting. Now having said that, with this number is not too far from what Garmin is suggesting, like 40 days for now. So there's hardly a difference of 1.75 days between both. But I would assume that there is no specific consistency in terms of because if the watch is not getting used, there is no additional processes that are running. We are not moving the watch. It's all stored safely. Then I would have expected a consistent drain rate. But I have not seen that consistent drain rate over past 7 days. In the first 2 days, the drain rate was more. In the next 2 days, it was a bit less. In the last, between 5 and 6 days, it was even less. So I was very hopeful. But again, on the last day here of my observation, the drain rate has again increased. So that gives me an indication that I may not be able to get, I wouldn't be able to get 48 days for sure, because I'm pretty sure the people who have bought this watch, they wouldn't be keeping this watch tucked into their closet for 48 days. So they definitely will be wearing it they definitely would be refreshing the screen quite often, even in the battery saver mode, and that may have impact and they may reduce the battery life even more. So I would say I'm expecting probably 10 to 15 times of refreshes per day when the person has to see, say, some of the sensors, like the altimeter, barometer, even temperature sensors, which I think probably keep on working. So some of those refreshes may be done, like probably 10 to 15 refreshes. So that will further reduce the battery life. So on that point, I would probably like to say that I have made some refreshes myself when I'm making this video. For example, right now I made probably 3 or 4 refreshes just to look at the battery saver. So when I say refreshes, I mean the screen refresh. So that may have consumed, say, probably 0.2%, 0.5%. So even if I add that, or maybe like the worst case estimate is like 1% just because of screen refreshers. So even if I add that here, I'll still be close to like 40%, 40 days of battery estimate, uh, provided that I don't touch the watch at all. So I believe that based on the 7 days observation that I have, probably 40 days is, or probably 39 days is the maximum one can hit with these kind of test conditions, which I think won't be possible in a real life scenario when the people will be using this watch and they will be continuously you know pushing this watch back in the normal mode, because they do have to make observation, they do have to start activities, they do have to record the heartbeat and everything. So I think 38 or 39 days would be the ceiling that can be hit with this watch, unless until I'm missing something, because I'm not a technical designer of the battery function of this watch, or I don't know how the internal processes of this watch works. So I am pretty sure that there could be certain areas I may have missed, but Garmin only suggests turning the battery saver mode on without any other condition, that we should be able to get battery life for 48 days, which I think is a very, very optimistic estimate. With that, I would like to thank you for all your time and your support. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care.